Welcome back to Salt City Counseling. Once again, my name's Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how I handle narcissists. Narcissists are generally, quite frankly, regarded as just like these unmanageable tyrants that we just... I've noticed that when they're around, there are people who are frantic. And what kind of prompted this video was basically had a situation at work. Where I work at this clinic. We have a lot of providers. We have therapists. We have psychologists. We have APRNs. We have a whole bunch of people under one roof. And I noticed that there were a couple or three people who sort of had like this tense franticness about them. And this sort of came up when one of my clinicians called me and said that she had made a mistake. She called me on a Friday night, which is kind of unusual. Usually it's just like, it's Friday. Nobody sees people on Fridays. We all take the day off. It's a self-care thing. But I got a call on a Friday night, and I had a clinician that was frantic about a situation. I'm not going to get into it. And she was really upset because she had made a mistake. And when she described to me the mistake, it was like one of the most minuscule things I'd ever heard. And the amount of fear that she had around the situation was completely out of proportion to what was actually happening in the situation. And as I've gotten more and more into this situation, got more involved with it and trying to help with defuse it, resolve concerns, provide support, turns out a certain individual that was causing some issues, that all of this like this tension and this sense of franticness that we're just frantic and tense is a lawyer. And I'd heard from several people, so they're a lawyer. And I was like, have they threatened to sue us or take us to court? Well, no, but just that fear, just sort of that general sense of fear and just that, again, the tension and the franticness. And so I ended up kind of stepping into the situation to see if I could help, just because my window's open and the wind is blowing stuff off the... Anyways, so I stepped in to the situation and kind of handled it. So based on this particular situation and others, this is just my basic rundown of how I handle or manage a narcissist, even if they're a lawyer. And by the way, lawyers, like, I swear, because they're lawyers, people are automatically just afraid of them. And people just automatically cower in fear, like, don't hurt me, don't take me to court and throw the book at me, right? And so as a result, I really believe that a lot of lawyers get away with a lot more than regular people. I really believe that lawyers know that they can get away with a lot more things because people just let them because they're afraid of them. And it's easy to catch them doing these things, and it's easy to turn them in to the ethics boards or the bar. They're constantly crossing the lines all the time, and with the gaslighting and all of that. So, but let's get into this. Here's just basically like the three things that I kind of do to handle a narcissist. Okay, number one is to not be afraid. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about narcissists is they feed off of fear. They feed off of your fear. If you're afraid of them, if you're really, really afraid of them, they can sense it. I swear they can smell it, and they feed off of it. They really do, which is really sick. When you think about it, it's pretty sick to feed off of people's fears and just play on those fears and then just throw gas on that fire. And it really is, I really believe it's a defense mechanism for them. I really believe that they do this so that they can avoid any vulnerability whatsoever. I really believe that's their true intention. That's why they do it, is because they want to avoid vulnerability. And as long as that you're afraid of them, then they're pretty set. They're pretty good to go. They can keep that high ground. And that's their goal. It's to always stay on the high ground. And as soon as they lose it, they feel vulnerable. And then that's just when they can crumble. They can really fall apart. So number one is I show that I'm just not afraid. I don't care if they're a lawyer. If oh, they're a lawyer, he might take us to court, and I'm like, well, then I want to know for what. And because really, like, they will go through, like, I'm a lawyer and I went through all of the things that you did and I found this tiny little mistake that I didn't like. Okay, so what? You're going to take people to court over, like, tiny oversights that aren't even going to cause harm to someone? And so I know a lot of people out there, they just, like, I can't help it. I can't help being afraid of them. You can learn to change that. You honestly can. I'm not saying it's easy. I think there are some unconventional means, and actually I kind of cover some of this stuff on my other channel, like your core belief systems and stuff like that. The link is in the description below. Wisdom and Brews. Go check out my website, wisdomandbrews.com, and changing your belief systems. They can't hurt you. Like, most of these guys, because they feed off of your fear, most of them appear bigger and scarier than they actually are. This particular individual was, as far as I can tell, is very successful and very wealthy. But that doesn't mean you should be afraid of them. Okay, so number one is don't be afraid, and don't show fear, and don't be afraid. If you show fear, if you show that you're afraid, then they've got you. Then they've got you on the run. Okay, number two is to set boundaries. Is to tell them when they're out of line, and they will act like they don't know what you're talking about. Like, and this is where the gaslighting takes place. Like, I had and I've talked about this before. I was on the phone one day with a dad who I believe was a narcissist. He had attended a little bit of a family session with his son via the phone, and he didn't like the way that I included the family systems and pointed things out. And as angry as he was for something that I do on a day-to-day basis, really showed to me that he was very much a narcissist, because I think it made him look bad in a small degree. And only narcissists get really that angry at looking bad. And so he was screaming at me on the phone. I've talked about this before, man. He was literally screaming at me. And I said, no, we're done. I'm ending this. You cannot talk to me this way. I will not tolerate this. I'm ending this call right now. And I was really about to hang up, and he started in with, here in Utah, the local predominant religion, part of their culture, all right, it's the Mormons. Part of their culture is they sometimes talk in the breathy voice, and if they talk to you with the breathy voice, it means that they're more righteous than you. So you went from screaming to the breathy voice. Oh, Scott. And he started to gaslight me. Oh, Scott, you just need to humble yourself. You're just taking it that way. He was gaslighting me. I told him he was out of line. I said, no, you've obviously called me to bully me and intimidate me, and I'm not going to stand for it. This is not okay. You have to. Oh, Scott. He kept with the breathy voice. Humble yourself. You just need to humble yourself. Oh, right. And I had to look. I'm not afraid of you. And it's not okay for you to treat me this way. Okay, number three. Okay, I'm sharing this third thing with a fair amount of reluctance, because it actually sounds bad when I say it out loud. It sounds bad. So I use this very, very sparingly, and only if I really believe that it's, like, quite necessary. And that is, quite frankly, to make them look inferior and to do it in front of other people. Now, the previous situation I was talking about an attorney causing a lot of issues, and really trying to make decisions about all kinds of things having to do with how a therapist or one of my clinicians was doing things, feigning expertise, more so than an experienced clinician that I have total confidence in, right? And so as I was helping the situation, I deliberately made this person look inferior. I showed my expertise, which I have in abundance. I just know my field. I just know my work. I know it well. And so not only did I make him look inferior, but I did it on purpose. And I did it in front of other people. And as soon as I did that, the dynamic changed. But then, of course, this person continued to, therefore proceeded to do the emotional flopping. I've talked about this in other videos where I'm the victim now. But really what happened is if I caused that person to feel or appear vulnerable or appear less than or appear inferior in any way, they feel completely attacked. right? Because that's their game. You flip that iceberg and show that you're not afraid of them, set boundaries, and make them look inferior suddenly. Because what we fail to realize or recognize about narcissists is that they actually feel very small. And that's why they act the way that they act. And by showing their inferiority and putting a finger directly on, look, I know exactly where you are weak. I can keep poking here if you want, right? And that's honestly what I have been forced to do at times. I don't like it. I don't want to do this, but I've just found that if I know that they're inferior in certain ways, and I put my finger on it and I go, I see it. I see where you are weak. That will cause a narcissist to like, run, back off. That's when they will back off. And I haven't had a lick of trouble from said lawyer ever since. And so that's sort of my rundown on how I deal with them. And frankly, to me, if you want to be, and I wanted to add an additional note on really being free of the narcissist, truly being free of the narcissist. I already did a video about this before, and my bottom line is that to be free from the narcissist, or to beat the narcissist, is to be free of them. And that's really what I meant to say. Beating the narcissist. Really, the best way for the average person to beat the narcissist is to live their life and to be happy and to be free with zero influence. But the number two thing, and these are actually related, is to not be afraid of them. This is the second way to beat the narcissist, is to just be completely unafraid of them. Again, I know, easier said than done, but if you wake up today, you wake up tomorrow and decide, I'm going to learn how to not be afraid. And you set that intention, and you set that expectation for yourself. And I will not rest. I will not stop until I am no longer afraid. Because as long as you're afraid of them, you're more likely to attract them, because they can just follow that trail of breadcrumbs to people who are afraid of them. If you have had narcissists in your life and you're still really afraid of them, they're going to find you. They just are. And I know some of these people. I have a close friend that operates this way. It's just become smaller and more unnoticeable and more meek and more. That doesn't work. They can smell your fear. If you really want to chase off narcissists, you need that strong frame. You need to not be afraid. That's really what works, okay? So beating the narcissist, living free, and not being afraid, but really kind of the same thing. So that is a basic rundown of how I handle these guys, and frankly, I get little trouble from them. And to me, it's mainly because I show them that I'm not afraid of them. But if they keep pushing, I'm gonna find where they're inferior, because they hate that. That is their Achilles heel. That is exactly what will cause them to buckle and fold. I don't like doing it. I don't want to do that. But I can find, honestly, I'm good at what I do. I can read people like a book. I realized recently too that I'm an empath. I can read people like a book. I can feel them. And I hate doing it, but I know how destructive these people can be. I know how abusive they can be. I know how much chaos they can cause in a social system, in their families, in their workplaces, or just even going into a medical clinic, how much chaos they can create. And so my first thing is just to show them, like, hey, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just not afraid of you. And sometimes that's good enough. Sometimes that's good enough. But if they really want to be a dick, and if they really want to be a jerk, then I'll just be like, okay, well, I'm going to find exactly where you're inferior. I'm going to show it to everybody. And that I hate doing that. That is an evil thing to do. But and that's something that I only do if it's like, I'm done with you. I'm tired of you hurting people around me, so I'm done. So, like in therapy, I'm like a golden retriever. But when it comes to these types, man, I turn into a pit bull. So, all right, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm gonna move on from the narcissist stuff, I think, for a minute, because it's a tough subject. They're a very difficult bunch. So, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. You know what to do. See you next time.